Hello, Team 285. Dr. C ringing in here on the eve of Mod 6. Today's February 6th. It's Sunday. And as I put in a most recent announcement pertaining to the practice activity, I just want to say I'm absolutely thrilled to see the escalation of comprehension and understanding and grasp of research and, more importantly, I think in some respects, the research methodologies. It does show that there's some sustained reading going on. You're taking a direct, unbridled interest in the topics of your choice. They're all excellent. Uh, Passion drives content. That's the bottom line. And most research does come from, you know, problems that people are interested in solving. Okay, so you're on the right track. This takes practice. Okay, it does. It's a different form of writing, as I've said before. I know that some students will say, gee whiz, I've done so well in other courses, but you really can't compare this course to other courses for the demands of the writing alone. So it's an analogy would be, okay, well, I scored a touchdown in football. How come I didn't get one in soccer? Well, there's two different games. There may be a ball involved in a field of play, but I can tell you that they are different, right? It's the same thing here. When you're writing for research, it's scholarly writing, which means you're fact based. You implement and incorporate citations. You can't make assumptions. Beware of the I thinks and I believes and I feels. None of this is about opinion. This is about formation of theory, hypotheses, and the selection of the research method or methods that you would apply as a tool to find out what is going on with a problem. That's it. And that's why I put a little an announcement here as I'm diving into the Mod 5 submissions today and tomorrow, etc. Is the practice activity on writing research questions. Make sure that you look for examples and you look at the actual, say, baseline stipulations or descriptions of what each one should look like. Research is about cause and effect, and in this case, it's about some sort of sociological or social phenomenon that's occurring. Okay, it's not you're not forming a question that just ends up with a yes or that leads to a simple yes or no response. You're exploring, you're describing, you're looking to explain, you're looking to evaluate, etc. And those are very kinesthetic precursor terms that define your or actually help you create and formulate a workable, researchable question. Okay. And that's not easy. That's why it's a practice activity. So if you've already submitted and you don't think it meets those criterion and you haven't done the reading in the textbook alone that speaks directly to this and some of the other ancillary resources that we have or seeking help from a librarian, go ahead and resubmit it. Just let me know. Point number two, if you've done a revision, you're looking to revise, you've contacted me, etc., please remind me, give me a heads up when you've resubmitted. It's very difficult for me to go retroactively back into the gradebook with a large class and try to, weed out those I may have missed, etc. So please make sure you stay in touch with me on that. That's very, very important. Okay, so I can help you. I want to make sure that we create a good strategy, a good workable strategy of success for each one of you. And again, I commend you for the obvious escalation in grasp and comprehension. So you know what you did in Mod 5, right? You've had there's practice, etc. The resources are great here, so make sure you use them. Plan your week so that you can actually devote time to developing an understanding, seeing how these things are created, see how researchers actually write them and why. Okay, and you submitted milestone 3, and there's a little quiz. So let's move on to Mod 6. All right, let me go back here. Where is it? All right, Mod 6. Bear with me here. All right, that's not cooperating. All right, well, let's get down to Mod 6 here. All righty, what's going on in Mod 6 here? Here's a brief introduction. Let's walk through this for a second. In this module, you're going to describe the importance of gathering information. Gathering information means what? We have to read so you can answer the research question. Okay, so please, not to be facetious, sarcastic. It's all about that. Okay, so at the module at a glance, you check your knowledge quiz. You've got some great resources. You do your journal assignment about influences on your research question. We'll look at that rubric in a second. Complete project 2, the various types of data, do the same, and there's a graded quiz at the end. Now, there's a lot of work in this course, and I know that. And I'm going to tell you this, I know that some of you, and I thank you profusely for pointing out some of the mysteries and mystique and confusion that this course may have brought to you. And I am working on repairing those as we speak. All right, so thank you for that. So let's go into each one of these things here. Hopefully it'll work. All right, here we go. Let's go down to the journal. Let's look at the requirements in the rubric for the journal. All right, then. Here we go. So look back at the research question you submitted for Project 3. And again, that research question is the mothership of all things research. It's got to be researchable. I didn't want to do that. All right, so your project that you submitted already, okay. And so how does the methodology of your research influence each of the questions you asked? All right, so in other words, the game plan, the strategy, i.e., the methodology, how does that help or serve the research question that you put together, that you crafted? Okay, a research question is different from just an ordinary question, isn't it? Okay, you're looking at the how, what, where, when, and why, which is intrinsic to all of the disciplines in here, whether it's poli sci, anthro, or CJ. We're always asking those questions to become great problem solvers. And how does it influence the type of data? So what will you be looking for, okay, in order to flesh out the facts that support the research question and the subsequent research utilizing that method? Not easy to do per se. It takes time. That's why you need to plan. All right. So anyway, so think forward to your future research. How do you think your initial research that you conduct will influence the questions you can ask, etc.? All right. So specifically, the following rubric criteria must be addressed. Let's look at that. You're going to explain the influence of methodologies on existing questions. Explain, not guesswork. Remember, I get rid of the I thinks, I feels, and I believes. Get rid of that, okay? And make sure you try to avoid writing conversationally. Look at how researchers write. Very matter of fact, very simple, very concise, very direct and to the point, okay? That's what they mean by keeping it simple, which is not easy because you have to refine and define. And again, as always, articulation of responses at the top, which means grammar, sentence construction, and spelling is critical for all of our disciplines, especially here in the social sciences and problem-solving disciplines. We have to be very, very clear. We can't be misunderstood. All right, so that's your Mod 6 journal. Let's go back to, let me see. Okay, he's not cooperating. All righty then. Don't you love technology? Oh, man. Okay. That would make it easier if I was the inventor. All right, project 2, data. Submit your assignment there. Let's take a look at the rubric for this one. All right, so here's the scenario. Ta-da! You're looking for a job. Here you are applying for another position in the company you work for and have been called in for a second interview. For this round, you've been asked by the interview committee to present an analysis. Look up the word analysis if you don't know what that means. It doesn't mean an opinion, an editorial, or an observation. You're analyzing the collected data from the research you initially reviewed with a specific focus on data collection types. This is where the resources in the text come in to help you with this. There's a whole bevy of information that you can use to refer to. And again, when you do that, in the body of your work, you need to incorporate citations to support what you are saying. Okay, and citations can only materialize and be incorporated if you're read. That's important, please. So plan your time when you have the energy to devote all that cerebral attention to all of these things. Some of it's not all that exciting, and I understand that. So you are analyzing studies related to a research topic. Okay, we've got that. So what are you going to be doing? You're going to complete the following. All right, so make sure you read slowly through these things here. Make a checklist. And one of the things that does help me when I have to write these things is I put these at the top of each, say, section, so I know that I don't lose on the points that I'm supposed to address. Okay, and kudos to those people that do that. There's nothing wrong with that for these assignments. Okay. So describe the attributes. You can read through that. You identify multiple potential threats to the credibility. Many of you addressed that quite well thus far. You see how this builds nicely together. Okay. Here's a laundry list of what you may consider relative to ethical issues. Taking your time, going down to number 3. Again, you analyze the relationship of data collection types to social science research methodologies. All of you who are really doing quite well, demonstrating comprehension and understanding how those things work. Good job. And going down to number 4, and make sure, again, I shouldn't go too fast, include the following. So make your list, check it off, make sure that you are complete and comprehensive. It takes time and it takes work. Let me know if you need help. Okay. All right. So, and the last, number 4, explain the relevance of various data collection types to research questions. And I'm going to tell you this right now. Everything you're doing in this course will serve you well for each and every succeeding course in your undergrad. And if you decide to go to graduate work, okay, this will segue nicely into this. It's very supportive. And a lot of this stuff here is it does require executive functioning. It's high order. There's no question about it. But save your work. Okay, this will serve you well. It will ease the pain and stress of having to do research for your other courses. Okay, so this is really a great warm up for you. And so don't dismiss or lose your work. So here's the presentation. You submit the following. This interview presentation on a research topic of your choice. Okay, it's a PowerPoint. Okay, in your field of study, include the information given in the directions to meet rubric requirements. Okay, so again, here we go. And many of you did a really good job with that. Okay, very creative. I think that does speak to a lot of the creative sides of everybody. Anyway, so long story short, this is what's going on. Call me or connect with me if you need help.